Hey everybody, just want to welcome you to ME 171 Design of Elements for the spring 2021 semester. I'm Dr. Burns and I have my contact information listed below right here. So this course is going to be broken down into 15 different modules, each module corresponding with a week in the semester. So this first week here is Module 1. We'll be going over a course overview and talking a little bit about the introduction to the design process. So within this module here, there's going to be individual lectures. So there'll probably 2 lectures for every module. So in the first module here, what we're really just going to do is go over the course overview, take a look at the format for the course, go through the syllabus together, talk about the course schedule, how that may change throughout the semester, what topics are covered, how it relates to readings in the textbook, go over the homeworks, what should be expected of those, how many there'll be, when they're due, when they're assigned, grading format for those, talk about the 2 midterm exams, and then get into the group project, which will be a large portion of this class. So once we finish this first module, we should have a solid understanding of how this course is going to be set up, what I'm expecting from you, how to navigate through Blackboard. And then when we get into the actual topics here, we're going to talk about develop appreciation for the fundamental concepts that underlie the design process, some basic definitions, and talk about the 3 main aspects of engineering in the design process as far as safety considerations, ecological considerations, and social significance. So as we jump into our first lecture, Module 1.1, we're going to take the time to go through the syllabus, talk about the individual portions within this, go into our course schedule. This is going to be tentative for the 15 weeks of the semester, see where our homeworks come into play, exams, group project, reading assignments. Then we're going to get into some more detail with the homework format for what I expect for the setup and for the grading and the grading scheme that I'll be using. We're going to talk about using Blackboard. This is going to be the primary source of communication throughout the semester. So we want to become familiar with how Blackboard is going to be set up and how I expect you guys to utilize that. We'll get into our weekly quizzes. These are all going to be posted on Blackboard, assigned at the beginning of the week, due at the end of the week, and this is a portion of your grade. I'm going to really get into detail on the homework itself. There's going to be 5 sets of problems. They're going to be assigned throughout the semester, and there's going to be a standard format. I'm going to give you guys some templates and go over again the grading for these. Talk about the exams. There are going to be 2 to 4 problems for the exams. There's only going to be 2 midterms and no final. And like I said, a large portion of your grade for this class is going to be the group project. So we're getting into some details on that as well. So your teaching assistant for this course is Yi Lu. He's going to have office hours. These office hours are on Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. His email contact is given here. And these are all going to be remote office hours hosted through Teams. So basic course information, ME 171 Design of Elements. Our class website is going to be through Blackboard. Our live lectures will be on Teams. Class times are going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:05 till 11:20 a.m. Again, this is a remote course with lectures through Teams. Course is going to go from February 1st, 2021 till May 11th, 2021. Prerequisites for this course, you need to be a junior and have already taken ME 14. Now, for some reason you don't meet these prerequisites, please reach out to me so we can make accommodations. My office hours. I'm also going to have office hours as well as the TA. So I'd say the TA is going to be doing the grading for this course. If you have homework-related questions and things like that, or questions on grading of your exams, taking a look at how he graded your homeworks, please reach out to him. Conceptual questions or anything else related to the course or your criteria in general for engineering, please reach out to me at my office hours. Again, these are going to be Thursdays after class from 11:30 till 12:30. If you need extra help outside of these times, just shoot me a message on Teams or an email and we can coordinate and find a time that works for both of us. So required text. For this course, we're going to be using the juvenile text here, the fundamentals of machine component design. 7th edition or 8th edition are both acceptable. If you find the old 6th edition is cheaper, that's fine as well. I've tried to organize this course so that most everything you need is going to be in my lectures. I will be posting the problems for the homework as well. So the reason I listed these older editions is just to try to save you guys a little bit of money. If you can find an older edition, a PDF version of it, or if you're sharing a textbook with a classmate, all these are acceptable. I will be referencing back to the 7th edition with some of the equation numbers in the textbook and sections, but they don't change much between the 6th all the way through the 8th for this course. So now I want to take a look at a little bit of an overview of the topics that we're going to cover within this 15 weeks of the semester here. So we're going to start off doing a basic introduction within this first and second module here, some load analysis and get into some materials. From there, we're going to talk about some stresses and get into the concepts of failure. Then look at some strain and buckling, move on to impact, fatigue, talk a little bit about surface damage, fasteners and power screws, get into welding. Then we'll get into some components involving springs, bearings, and we'll spend a little bit more time on gears, breaking it down between spur, helical, bevel. And then we'll get into gears as related to shafts, talk a little bit about clutches, brakes, some miscellaneous, and design applications. So these are the topics that we're going to cover throughout the semester. If you want some more detailed information, you can reference back to our course schedule and see how this relates to different sections within our textbook. So for course goals for this ME 171 Design of Elements course, upon completion, the aim is that you'll be able to obtain the following skills. So the main skill here is the ability to apply knowledge of mathematics, science, and engineering to the analysis of design problems. And this is where I'm going to spend a little bit more time talking about how to set up our solutions, how to do hand solutions, the format and template that I expect you guys to utilize for the homework assignments and exams, and just in general, any type of engineering problem. What have I given? What are my diagrams? Clearly label all your units. Clearly write down what they're asking you to solve for. All these things we're going to go over in some detail and give you guys a little bit of an arsenal to pull from whenever you're thrown a problem. You're like, okay, I'm drawing a blank. I don't know where to start. Okay, well, what do they tell me? What's in that problem statement that I can use that's a known? Write those all down. From there, okay, now that I have all this information I've extracted from the problem statement and the given diagram, I can look at that problem and say, okay, now that I know this, what are they asking me to solve for? And if you know what they have and what they're asking you to solve for, the next step is to find what governing equation, what relates those together. And we can move on through the solving process using these steps. So this is something that I want to cover in this course, and this ability and this knowledge is something that's going to be useful throughout your engineering career. The other course goal here is a knowledge of mechanical fatigue. Talk about fatigue analysis, design of springs, joints, welds, bolts, into gearing, shafts, bearings, and how all of this applies to the design process. So I'll talk a little bit about computer usage and software. So for this course here, we'll maybe asking you to do some data analysis, do some plotting. Your choice for what you want to use for software for plotting. You can utilize MATLAB. Microsoft Excel works fine for many cases there, for simple cases. Python if you're comfortable, Mathematica, whatever program you're used to and you're comfortable with is completely acceptable. I personally like MATLAB for most everything, or if it's just a quick and easy one, Microsoft Excel does the job. Other platforms that you're going to need for this here, Microsoft Teams, Blackboard, some type of scanner, whether it's your phone or an actual scanner, and a PDF reader. A PDF writer and Acrobat would be useful as well to edit some of the PDFs. A webcam, and it doesn't matter what type it is, it can be one that's built into your laptop or one that you plug in via USB cable so that you can utilize Teams for chats and also to view the lectures, ask questions, things of that nature, as well as office hours, either with me or the TA. So now we're going to get into a little bit of the policy within the syllabus here, so you can reference back to your syllabus for some more of this information, but I want to go over this in detail here with you guys. As far as attendance goes, and especially attendance related to the times that we're living in now with isolation, quarantine, and the pandemic. So I'm going to go through these bullet points here and try to expand upon them when necessary. So throughout the semester, there are going to be some students that may need to isolate or quarantine. Now, if you do need to isolate or quarantine, one thing that I ask is please make Student Health Services aware of this, because they're going to let the Dean's office know and I'll be informed from there. If you're comfortable, please feel free to reach out to me as well so I can make any accommodations and give you guys any things you may miss. I do plan to offer some flexibility for these instances wherever it's possible. That being said, this is a remote course, so the fact that it's synchronous, you may be, if you're quarantining or ill, not be able to make the live lectures. So please reach out to me and let me know, and we can find some way to get you that material. I will always be posting a PDF of my lecture slides on Blackboard as well, but if you want some more detailed information, please reach out and we'll find a way to get you that material. Students, especially those who are asymptomatic in quarantine, are expected to continue their academic work. Again, because this is a remote course, if you're just asymptomatic and you're not ill, you're not in the hospital, and there's not a reason that you have to miss the lectures, please continue to do your work. If there is extenuating circumstances, again, please reach out to me and we'll make accommodations. For students who are in quarantine, you can access material from the Blackboard course. Like I mentioned, I'm uploading my PDFs. I'll have some of the overview videos, your quizzes, homeworks, all that information you'll be able to access from wherever you are remotely. If you have any questions or concerns, something personal, or if an illness or quarantine does pop up again, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out privately on Teams and email, however you're comfortable. The next thing I want to jump into is quizzes. So throughout the semester, I'm going to be giving a quiz every single week. So there'll be 15 quizzes throughout the semester, and these quizzes are going to be related directly to the reading assignments in your textbook and the lectures that I give via Teams and the material that I'm posting on Blackboard. It's just going to be pretty straightforward, multiple choice questions mostly, usually 2 to 3 questions. As long as you've done your reading, you've paid attention in lecture, you should have no issue with these. These will be released at the beginning of the week on Blackboard under the assignments section, and they'll be due by Friday at 4 p.m. This is kind of my way of virtual attendance and making sure there is accounting for class participation right here. So as long as you're participating, reading the lecture, reading the textbook, attending lectures, these should be pretty straightforward questions for you to answer, and it'll account for a portion of your grade. Homework. Throughout the semester, I'm going to give 5 different homework assignments. They'll usually be about 2 questions each. They're going to be released and submitted through Blackboard. So this is all noted. If you look at the course schedule that I've already posted, you can see the tentative assigned dates and due dates for all 5 of these homework assignments. They'll also be listed within the assignments section on Blackboard and within the individual modules. So I've tried to make this as easy as possible for you guys. So again, so you're not searching to find stuff. I've put it in multiple spots so you can quickly locate it. You can either go right to the assignment section of Blackboard and there they are. You can read through the weekly modules and it tells you, oh, okay, now the homework number 3 is assigned on this date and due on this date. So it's all there, and you can even reference back again to the course schedule for the tentative dates as well. So with all that I'm giving you, late homework assignments will lose points. So please make sure to stay on top. Time management is very, very important when we're talking about remote learning. So this is something that I will focus on later, and I've posted a video talking about time management and how to utilize resources for remote classes and online learning. I'm going to talk about the homework format and the grading criteria in a couple slides later on. So for this course, there's going to be 2 midterm exams, no final exam, just 2 midterm exams. It's going to be covering material that we've learned in lectures and in our reading assignments. They're designed to be the equivalent of an in-class examination. So with that being said, what I'm going to do is these are going to be released at a set time on Blackboard. So even though we're not in person, I want to make these exams as realistic to an in-person exam as possible. So these are normally something that you would be able to finish in 60 to 90 minutes. But being that we're remote and you've got to upload and you maybe some technology issues, broadband issues, things like that, rather than 1 hour, I'm going to give you 2 hours, which should give you a little bit of extra time to scan in your assignment once you've completed it, upload it to Blackboard, make sure that it's posted, and email me or contact me if there's any issues as you're doing that process or any technological hurdles that you run into. So these will be submitted and uploaded through Blackboard. There'll be a rubric on there that your grades will be based off of. You can view that rubric, and I'll be going over that format and grading criteria as well. The TA will be grading your homeworks and your exams, so if you have any questions relating to your grades or how they'll be graded, please reach out to him. If you have general questions as to the material topics, please reach out to me as well. And again, please reach out to me with anything you need. My goal is to be here and available for you throughout the semester. I'm on my computer and have Teams up on my phone as well, usually 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I know that these are challenging times for all of us with remote learning, and they'd be very frustrating because we're all stepping into a new territory here. So I want to make myself available for you with any questions you have along the way. So let's talk about grades, how we're going to break these down. So this is how the course is breaking down here. There's going to be 5 things. 2 of them are exams. So you're going to have your homework, which is 15% of your grade. The 2 midterm exams, which are 20% each, will make up 40% of the grade there. Then what you're going to have here is you're going to have your weekly quizzes. So again, there's going to be 15 of those, 1 every week. That's going to count for 10% of your class grade. And lastly, the large portion here is 35% of your grade, which is a group project that we're going to start discussing. So one of the incentives behind me making this group project is to give you guys that interaction with other students. I know it's hard when being remote, and it's easy to fall into the pattern of just sitting by yourself, staring at your computer screen alone, trying to trudge through all the work and homeworks and example problems, and maybe you're stuck and you're staring at a screen blankly, getting frustrated for hours. So I really do want to encourage you, even if you're remote, to reach out to other students and classmates. We have all the great resources of Teams and Blackboard, discussion boards, video chat that you can utilize. So I'm going to be focusing on that for the group project and hopefully getting you guys started right from the beginning of the semester, forming a group that maybe you can work through homework problems together on, you can study together on, as well as the group project. Because in my opinion, a lot of the way you learn engineering is by working with other engineers. You know, some people might catch something that might take you hours to figure out. They mentioned like, oh yeah, that's right, that's how I'm going to start this problem there. And you can quickly keep going back and forth, sharing ideas and teaching each other as you go through the process. So grading scheme for this class, just so you know what to expect and how I'm going to break things down. I'm very straightforward as far as my grading goes and as far as what I expect from you, the problems. I'm not trying to throw curveballs or make anything tricky. So I'm going to be using a very straightforward grading scheme right here, so you can see what an F all the way through an A+ is and how it relates right here. And again, you already know what the breakdown is for your class. So I encourage you, take a look at your grade section on Blackboard as we continue on through the semester. All your grades will be populated on there, so you can take a look at where you're at, what you need to do in order to get the grade you need, you'd like to achieve by the end of the semester. And again, if you have any questions relating to the grading of the course, please reach out to me. Any particular questions on how an assignment was graded, please reach out to the TA as well, and they'll be able to go through that for you. So class breakdown for these remote live lectures on Teams. Trying to keep this as realistic as if we were in person as possible. The first 5 minutes of class, I'm just going to go through a review, an overview of the module, what to expect, what the topics we're going to cover are. Then we'll get into whatever the new material is for the bulk, and I want to save a little bit of time, 5-10 minutes at the end of the class, if you guys have any questions. Now, this is also why I've scheduled my office hours to be directly after class on Thursdays. So if you have any questions related to the material we've covered throughout that week, it's fresh in your mind, and you can go right into office hours after class so we can ask some more questions. So this is tentatively how I plan on doing this. I want feedback from you guys, though. What works, what doesn't, what you'd like to see, things of that nature, and we can modify it as the semester goes on. So getting into some more of the policy stuff from the syllabus here, there's a statement about academic integrity. Please go to this website and review this here. And again, make sure we abide by these rules and regulations. One of the biggest things for this semester is going to be COVID-19, the pandemic. So the university has issued a policy on this. So the general statement regarding potential changes throughout the semester related to the pandemic and how that may affect the university itself, please refer to this page right here within the UVM catalog. Basically, what the saying is that the University of Vermont does reserve the right to make changes in the course offerings, mode of delivery, degree requirements, charges, regulations, procedures, all this stuff here throughout the semester. And this is basically, if something happens, the numbers spike again, we're forced to do what we did last March and everybody has to leave campus, there will be changes that need to be made. So please reference back to this catalog for any of those. If you have any questions, please reach out to me as well. I'm going to do my best to keep you guys updated if I hear anything. But usually I hear about the same time as you guys do as far as these policy changes related to the pandemic. Continuing on with the pandemic, we have the Golden Green Promise here. So this clearly articulates the expectations that UVM has for students, faculty, and staff so that everybody remains compliant with all the COVID-19 recommendations from the CDC, the state of Vermont, and the city of Burlington. So this again is something that does change, as we've seen. Oftentimes the city doesn't update once a week and things change, policies change there. So please reference the website down below for the Golden Green Promise and take a look for updates to see how things may change throughout the semester. Thing to note here, this outlines the policies related to the violations of the Golden Green Promise. So there may be sanctions, violations, fines, educational sanctions, parent notification, probation, suspension related to this. This is all in the idea of safety, so please reference all the related criteria as far as what the federal CDC, state of Vermont, and the city of Burlington recommends for these policies, and read through closely the Golden Green Promise. So UVM has updated the Golden Green Promise for this spring 2021 semester. So some things have changed if you were here last semester and you saw those and you read through it. So the big changes, they've noted that the virus is highly contagious. It's possible to contact the virus even when individuals follow all the safety precautions recommended by the CDC, State of Vermont, and the university. The university is following all guidelines issued by the CDC and other experts to reduce the spread of COVID-19. However, we do note that on and off campus activities carry some risk and in case high risk of exposure to COVID-19 and other infections. So as university citizens, it is important that we each hold each other accountable for our actions related to this. So shown here is the Golden Green Promise. I won't read through this to you. Please reference again to that website link, and you can go through this of what we promise to do within this Golden Green Promise as students, faculty, and staff. We also have a statement here related to alcohol and cannabis use on campus. The Division of Student Affairs has offered the following statement, so please read through this at your convenience here as far as the university's policy related to alcohol and cannabis use on campus. One thing I do want to spend a little bit of time on is student learning accommodations. So in keeping with university policy, any student with a documented disability interested in utilizing the ADA accommodations should contact Student Accessibility Services, SAS, the Office for the Disability Services on campus for students. So I've listed down here at the bottom the contact information there. So you can see here the phone number, email and website access for that there, and a physical location as well, however you're comfortable reaching out to them. If this does pertain to you, please do utilize and take advantage of these resources. So I want to take a minute right now to talk about course evaluations. So the university has set up midterm evaluations and end of the semester evaluations, which what I've noticed a lot of times all that we get in those is a small portion, a small pool of the students, and usually it's focused on the students who are frustrated, having issues with this new online learning process and things like that. So all we're getting is kind of the negative frustrations that you're having, and we're not hearing back a lot of what you do like about the courses. And I think that this is important to get both the constructive criticism as well as what you do like, because this is a whole new area for both of us, for all of us, as far as online learning and online teaching. And my goal personally is to provide you with the best presentation of material so you can learn it in a manner that is new to all of us with online learning and teaching. So I would love to hear feedback from you, like, yes, I really do appreciate the video lectures that you're posting. I love that you're posting the PDF of the slides as well as the live lectures. I'd like to see more of example problems worked out in video solutions as well. Whatever it may be, constructive criticism would be greatly appreciated, because once we get that immediately, I can make those revisions, make those changes to tweak the course to get you what you need to learn the material in an effective manner. So please reach out to me directly. It could be Microsoft Teams, chat, email, whatever it is. I'd love to hear your feedback, what you like, what you'd like to see change throughout the semester. The quicker you get that information back to me personally, the quicker I can make those revisions and changes and modify the course for you guys. So again, please reach out to me with any questions, concerns you have related to this course or your academics in general, other classes, whatever it may be. Please reach out to me. We'd love to be able to get you feedback as soon as possible and hear your feedback as well. Next policy I want to address here is the Code of Student Conduct. So this is listed right here at the website address, so please visit this and review all of the details the university has presented to you. The purpose of this policy is to communicate the rights of students regarding access to and privacy of their student educational records as provided by the FERPA. So again, two references right here. You can reference that right there, the FERPA, at this website address below. So now I want to talk a little bit about the course schedule. This is going to be for a 15-week module. The way I've set this course up, each module corresponding to a week within the semester. So I'm going to take a look at the actual breakdown, how it relates to your homework assignments, your timeline, reading materials, topics that we're going to cover throughout the semester. This is also posted on Blackboard as well. So what we have here is all 15 modules. You can see I have broken down into individual classes for these different modules here. So module 1, this date that the material is going to be released, the end of the lecture date right there, what lecture it relates to, what chapter it relates to in the book, what topics are covered within that, and then during those dates, when the homework's assigned, when the homework is due, where your portions of the group projects lie within the semester as well, all the way down to your final reports for the group project and your presentations at the end of the semester. So this is tentative, but I've tried to break this down as structured as possible. There may be something where I get feedback from you guys and decide like you're really interested in tensile testing. So we spend an extra lecture talking about tensile testing and related applications. So it might bump things around a little bit, or we might go through failure theory a little quicker than we thought and move things around a little bit. But overall, this is the course schedule they're going to follow throughout the semester. If you have any questions related to this, please reference back as we're going through all the individual modules. It'll let you know, hey, okay, we've already covered this. Next, we're going to be covering this. It'll let you know how to read in advance. It'll give you a fair warning of when the homeworks will be relative. I know it's difficult, especially being remote, to remember when things are assigned and when they're due. So this is a way you can reference back for all of those. So I want to take a little bit of time and go through the homework guidelines and what I expect for the format and template when you turn in your assignments. This will be the same for homeworks and exams. So for homeworks, there's going to be 5 different homeworks throughout the semester that we already mentioned. These are all going to be assigned and released through Blackboard. You'll need to complete them by hand, scan them in, and submit them again through Blackboard, where there'll be a rubric that the grader will use to grade these. All the due dates will be posted on Blackboard as well as on the course schedule. So as we start in with the format of what I expect, one thing that's going to be important is to keep your name on the paper there. So put your name, what homework assignment it is, what exam it is, when it's due, and the class. Now this was more important when we were talking about turning these in by hand, and we had hard copies and things we get lost in the shuffle. But at the same time, I still want you to stay in that habit and do this for the Blackboard assignments as well. Even though when you scan them in, it is associated with your name on Blackboard, I still would like you to keep this at the top of every piece of every assignment that you do. Next, use the front side of each piece of paper only. So again, this was important before just because it's hard to read and be able to tell if there's work on the back side of the paper. So now when we're scanning things in, digitally it does tend to bleed through if you're writing on both sides of the paper when you scan it in. So it asks, please only use the front side of the paper for each side of the homework. Scan your assignments as a PDF and upload to Blackboard. You can utilize your phone as well. I have found that Blackboard is a little bit finicky and prefers PDFs to JPEGs and TIFFs. So if you have the capability on whatever system you're using to scan it, please scan it in as a PDF before you upload it. One other thing I really want to take some time to talk about and discuss is working with others on your homework. Now, this is something that I would like you to do and encourage you to do. This, again, is the best way to learn engineering, in my opinion, is to work through the problems with other students. So this is something that's a little bit difficult in these remote times. So I would encourage using the use of teams. If your roommate happens to be an engineer, take advantage of that. Now, with that being said, I don't want anybody just copying other people's work and putting their name on it. So please, within any problems that you utilize help of your classmates, me, the TA, whatever it is, clearly acknowledge the help that you got. So you can put it in, examples of what I'd like to see. Like Mary Jones pointed out that I need to draw a free body diagram. So something like that I would like to see written out next to wherever the help you got. Or I met with the TA and they told me I should use this equation. Or I talked with you and you gave me this hint on problem number 2. Just make sure you give credit for whoever gave you help on these problems here. This will be up to the grader's discretion. If he thinks you're taking too much from other sources, he's going to let you know. But again, I really do encourage you to work together in groups and just give each other credit when you have help from people on those. This is going to be something that's really going to help you learn the material, is working with other people on it. I want you to make sure that with the free body diagrams and any other diagrams you're drawing out, just make sure that these are very clear, they're labeled correctly, you're referring back to whatever units or variables you use when you're doing out your force and moment diagrams, things like that. Next, your vector notation should be clear and correct. This is basically what I'm saying here in these last couple things, is really take your time to draw things out clearly in a manner that somebody else can follow through your work and understand what you were doing for your approach in solving the problems, see what your variables are, see what your units are. All that becomes important for you once you're referring back to your own work, and also for the grader as he's looking through and trying to understand what you did for the work. Another thing that I do want to emphasize here is the last point here is writing out the equations in symbolic form before plugging in numeric values. So this again is going to help us reward partial credit for any of these problems here. So if you chose the wrong governing equation and you just threw a bunch of numbers in there, or maybe you chose the right governing equation but you forgot a variable term in it, and all we see is a bunch of numbers put together, it's going to be hard to award partial credit, because if we look down here at our grading criteria, a large portion of this is given to the correct method or approach for solving the problem. So if we can't see what your approach is, you haven't clearly shown us what the equation was you're using before throwing the numbers in there, it's hard to award partial credit. So that leads us into the grading criteria down here. 10-point scale. So my main goal is to have you guys get comfortable with this format and this template for setting up these problems. So the first thing I'm looking for is formatting. Do you have your name on it? Do you have all the givens written down from the problem statement initial diagram? Do you have written out what they're asking you to solve for? Do you have the correct coordinate system labeled correctly? So all of that right there, if you have that just in the setup there, that's 2 points you already get out of 10 right there, just for setting it up correctly and using the correct format and including all of this given and information that you're looking to solve for. 2 points are then awarded for neatness. How easy is it for the grader to go through and follow your work, see what you did, follow your approach, read your writing, all of that. So neatness is going to count for the next 2 points. Then the bulk of the points here, 4 points, is for the correct method in solving approach. Did you choose the right governing equation? And again, that goes back to E here, where you really want to write out the general equation in its symbolic form before starting to plug in the variables. And maybe even put a little note next to it. I chose to use this equation because. Things like that are going to help again. So that's 4 of the points right there. And the last 2 points are for the correct final answer. So even if you get the answer wrong, but you've set everything up correctly and set up the right governing equation and approach, you could still get 8 out of your 10 points right there.